Hey everyone, welcome to today's Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. My name is Nate Carter, and today we're in, again, the book of Judges, chapter 18. I hope you're reading through this book, but I wouldn't blame you if you found it kind of depressing and kind of frustrating as you watch the people of Israel gradually move away from the Lord. It kind of occurred to me, like, it reminds me of the stock market. You know, you see kind of trends as the stock goes up or down, and within the stock price, you see things go fluctuate on a daily measure, but then overall you start to see the trends either go up, or in this case with the people of God, you see the trends start to go down as they walk away from the Lord. You'll have some moments where they have good judges that follow the Lord, but more of them are bad judges, and you start to see the trend of the people of Israel walking away from God. And it's just kind of depressing. Today is no exception. Today we are following the tribe of Dan. Now, read this first verse. Now, in those days, Israel had no king, and the tribe of Dan was trying to find a place where they could settle, for they had not yet moved into the land assigned to them when the land was divided among the tribes of Israel. Now, as you read that, that should set off a question mark in your mind. It did for me. Why haven't the people of Dan moved into their assigned land? I mean, there's this big ceremony where they allotted the land to all the different people. Why haven't the Danites moved in yet? So I looked it up in my study Bible. I'm just going to read what they have there. It says, the Danites had been assigned enough land to meet their needs in Joshua 19. However, because they failed to trust God to help them conquer their territory, the Amorites forced them into the hill country and wouldn't let them settle in the plains. Rather than fight for their allotted territory, they preferred to look for new land in the north, where resistance from the enemy wouldn't be so tough. So here we see the answer. Like, because the Danites hadn't been trusting God, they have had some failed conquests and now are finding themselves without a land. So they're taking easy street. They're trying to find a place where they can settle. And they find this place where the people are peaceful, and basically they're keeping to themselves. They're like nice people. It's like invading Marshfield, you know? Why would you come in and invade Marshfield? Get your own place. The people are happy here. And that's exactly what they do. But on the way, they pass by the house of Micah, who we learned about in the last chapter. Now, Micah has these idols in his house. And not only that, but he's taken for himself this priest, like to have his own personal priest. It's like having like a pastor live in your house all the time to be your spiritual advisor all the time. It's not the way God designed it. But yet this man is a Levitical priest, and it's kind of like, it's a little muddy here. It's the waters are a little bit muddied, because even though this priest is obviously endorsing the use of idols and the graven images, yet he still is a Levite, and he still carries some of the gifting and prophecy of that the Lord has allotted to him. And so he carries a little bit of authority. That's the word I'm looking for, is authority. And so they ask him, hey, should we go and invade this land? And the priest says, yes, you're going to have victory there. And you'll have to read the chapter for yourself. But ultimately, they invade this land. They clear the people out. And they go back to Micah's house, and they steal all his carved images, and they even steal his priest. And then in the last verse, verse 30, it says, then they set up the carved image, and they appointed Jonathan, son of Gershom, son of Moses, as their priest. This family continued as priests for the tribe of Dan until the exile. So Micah's carved image was worshipped by the tribe of Dan as long as the tabernacle of God remained at Shiloh. I mean, it's pitiful, right? We're seeing that trend go slowly down as the people follow their own selfishness and look after idols in order to lead them. And so I thought, what's the message for us to learn here today? Well, first of all, we saw how it all began. They didn't trust God to give them victory in the land that was allotted to them. And so they went on their own way. So the first lesson, so we need to trust the Lord. We need to trust what the Lord has told us specifically through his word. And then they go and they worship this, they follow this priest, and they worship this carved image. And it made me think, okay, what are the idols of our day today? You know, when you're when you're going through your own difficulty, or you're going through your own crossroads in your own life, and you're trying to figure out, do I go this way or do I go that way? Uh, where do you look for leadership? And I thought about this, and I invite you. I won't go through a whole litany right now, but as we sign off, to think, where do you go first when you're trying to make a decision, when you're in need, when you're in despair? When I find myself in financial hardship or trying to make an important decision, a lot of times I go to Google first, right? Or I go to a friend and ask for advice, or I sit down and make a pro and con list. When you're in times of despair, where do you go for comfort? Do you go to television and binge watch? Do you go to alcohol or nicotine or something else that makes you feel good for a moment? And the list goes on. When you're in a time of need, where do you go first for solace? Now, some of those things, Google can be helpful. A trusted friend is extremely valuable. But those can also be idols if we don't go first to the Lord for help. And because the people of Dan didn't go first to God, they started off this endless cycle that eventually ends in ruin for Israel. When you are in a time of need, when you're in a time where you're down, go first to the Lord. Seek Him in prayer. Look into His Word. Find trusted Christian friends who will help you scour the Word or listen to the Lord's, the Spirit of the Lord to help you make your decision or pull yourself out of that pit. Unlike the people of Dan who looked first to the idols. So what I want you to do now as we finish today is to take a few moments and think, what are your vices? Where are your idols? Where are the places that you go to for solace? And then make the decision that the next time you're at that point, you're going to first go to the Lord and wait for Him for an answer. And then perhaps you go to some other places where God may speak through some other friends. He may speak through what you find in some research. But you'll know that you've gone first to the Lord to allow Him to guide you. With that said, take some time to think through that question today, and we'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.